Hello dear audience, my name is Vladислava Pушкарская, and today I would like to talk about morphological changes in the stomach against the background of the use of non-steroidal anti-inflammatory drugs and new derivatives of 1,4-dihydrothioperidines with analgesic activity. Non-steroidal anti-inflammatory drugs, NSAIDs, are one of the most prescribed groups of drugs in the world for a wide range of indications. However, a range of complications are associated with the use of NSAID. Therefore, the search for new highly effective and safe analgesic drugs is a topical direction in the research. The focus of modern scientific interests are new compounds from a series of derivatives of cyanothioacetamide. We have selected 4 leading samples from a series of pyridine derivatives, which were synthesized on the basis of research laboratory chemics of Lugansk State University by Vladimir Dal for the pharmacological correction of pain, as well as for the study of analgesic activity and animal experiments. The purpose of the research to establish the features of morphological changes in the stomach after exposure to NSAIDs and new compounds from the 1,4-dihydrothioperidine series. Experiments were performed on 240 outbred adult rats of both sexes. It was supposed to evaluate the effect of new compounds on the structure of the stomach at the organ, tissue, and cellular levels. Here are the research results. The morphological characteristics of the stomach of rats developing under normal environmental conditions corresponds to its normal structural organization, which is necessary for the performance of the functions of this organ. During visual examination, the gastric mucosa of rats in the control group was light pink in color, with preserved folding. Microphotographs of the fundus of the stomach of the rats in the control group at low magnification show the mucous membrane, submucosa, and muscular membrane. In the glands of the fundus of the stomach, the main cells and parietal cells are well defined. The gastric mucosa of rats treated with the classical NSAID indomethacin is characterized by the presence of signs of destructive atrophic changes in the integumentary epithelium in the absence of a pronounced inflammatory cellular component. In the experimental group, one animal died on the 6th day. On the 7th day, the death of the second animal was recorded. The rats of this group behaved sluggishly and consumed less food and water compared to the intact group. Macroscopic examination of the stomachs of rats of the experimental group revealed swelling of the mucous membrane, smoothness of its relief, areas of hyperemia, petechial hemorrhages, which can be seen on the slide. The surface of the studied animal organ is gray, not shiny. We found an increase of the thickness of the submucosa of the stomach of rats after a week of use of this NSAID. Submucomucosal index increased almost 2 times. When studying at the tissue level using light microscopy of the stomach wall of rats treated with the indomethacin for 7 days, morphological changes are noted in the form of desquamation of the surface epithelium, loss of the correct orientation of the glandular tubules, and erosion. In animals treated with 1,4-dihydrothioperidine derivatives for 7 days, no significant differences characterizing the structure at the stomach at 3 levels were found. In the visual macroscopic examination of the stomach of the experimental animals, we didn't reveal erosion of the mucosa in most rats. The diagram shows that there are no significant difference between the values of the thickness of the gastric mucosa in rats after a weekly injection of the suspension of the studied samples of cyanothioacetamide derivatives in control animals. Against the background of practically unchanged gastric mucosa of experimental rats, we found separate areas with full-blooded capillaries of the lamina propria, mainly in the surface layers. No erosion were found. There was no discoloration of the peak cavern epithelium. The glandular tubules of the fundus glands had the correct orientation. The morphological characteristics of the stomach of rats in the control group, kept under normal environmental conditions, corresponds to its normal structural organization and is characterized by a stable structural and functional state of the fundus glands. The gastrotoxic effect of the classical NSAIDs used is the ability to initiate the death of epitheliocytes, causing atrophy of the gastric mucosa. Changes in organometric parameters, macroscopic picture, structural changes in the secretory epitheliocytes of the fundus glands of the gastric mucosa were revealed. New derivatives of 1,4-dihydrothiopyridine with laboratory codes MAR-O14, MAR-O37, MAR-O40, and MAR-O75 don't cause disturbances of the structural organization of the stomach at three-level characteristic of classical NSAIDs. There is a complete absence of erosive defects on the gastric mucosa. The gastroprotective effects consist of in the preservation of the mucous barrier. Thank you for your attention and for your time.